Good evening. You're listening to Luscombe's Choice on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Will Luscombe, and the subject of this evening's show is Dr. John's 1970 album, Remedies, which was recently re-released on 180-gram vinyl by Atco. Dr. John was kind enough to give me an interview earlier this week, and we will hear this, followed by the final track from Remedies, a hypnotic 18-minute hoodoo jam entitled Angola Anthem, which occupies the entire second side of the record. Dr. John would like to remind listeners of the continued plight of those affected by Hurricane Katrina in his hometown of New Orleans and surrounding areas. To find out more, visit hurricanekatrinarelief.com. What were your sort of early influences, the styles and people that really spoke to you when you were getting into music?
Well, I remember my Aunt Andre teaching me how to play like boogie woogies on the piano, and I remember I was studying guitar lessons early on at Werline School of Music, and I remember my guitar teacher, A.J. Gomer, I told my father, well, the kid plays good, but he can't read music, and my advice is to take him somewhere where he can learn how to read. And my father took me to a guy that was Fats Domino's guitar player, a guy named Papoose Nelson, Walter Papoose Nelson. And he kind of told me, well, you'll never, because what I was caring about at the time was like, I loved Lightning Hopkins.
Yeah.
People like that was my heroes when I was a kid.
You were really into blues music.
Yeah, well, that's what my father sold records that were called race records, which was blues and rhythm and blues.
Yeah.
He sold a lot of hillbilly records, popular with the black community then. And he sold a lot of gospel records and jazz records.
Mm.
But my interest was strictly about the blues. That's what I was plugged into from the jump. And I kind of got stuck there until I started studying guitar lessons. And all of a sudden, my interest is, my third guitar teacher, Ron Montrell, Rod taught me what is important in different kinds of music. Like he turned me on to like Paco de Lucia playing flamenco music, and he turned me on to all kind of music that I didn't ever hear before.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, would you say that's indicative of New Orleans as a melting pot of different musical influences and styles?
Yeah, well, that's part of the great thing of New Orleans always has been, it's like when my second guitar teacher, Papoose, sent me to sub for him on a recording session at Cosmos, and early on I learned, watched the piano player's hands, which was real simple for me to know the chords from watching a piano player, and listen. And I was always taught, like, you appreciate all the music. Whatever kind of music we was doing on a record day, you play it with respect. And that was a great thing to learn, you know?
Yeah. No, it's an excellent philosophy. I mean, what was it that made you move to a more psychedelic sound, though, from the honky-tonk stuff, I guess?
I never thought of anything as psychedelic. Well, I made records. And when I got to that, like early on, I made records, instrumental records, and I might have sang a little backup or sang something on a record. But basically, my interest is, was just in music. Wanted to be a musician, and that was it.
So, I mean, even for like late 60s music, your sound was still very original. What specific kind of musicians or styles would you say influenced albums like Grigri and Remedies?
Well, in particular, Grigri was was trying in the best way I knew how, because I was stuck in California, was to try to preserve New Orleans Gree-Gree, or voodoo, as other people call it. And it's part of our culture that was disappearing then. And it's been through a lot of terrible shifts over the years.
So did the voodoo culture have a musical influence? For example, the song on Remedies, Angola Anthem, it sounds like a kind of, voodoo chant thing. Was that a direct sort of influence on songs like that?
Well, it's basically a song a friend of mine tangled on when he got out of Angola Penitentiary in Louisiana. People thought I was singing about Angola, Africa. I remember they had a write-up in, I think it was Luscombe magazine or something, and they were talking about I was singing about Angola, Africa, but it was about Angola Penitentiary in Louisiana, And the words said it like life is cheap in Angola. They give a convict a gun to shoot another one if you run. They don't give a damn if you're old or young. Angola, they shoot you just for fun. See, I was never locked down. Angola Penitentiary, I was spelled federally. And so I was always in federal institutions back in the game. I was blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, well, my girlfriend and I initially thought it was about Angola, Africa, until I sort of listened to the lyrics. I was wondering if it was personal experience or not. But how many musicians played on the song? Because there isn't much information on the back of the album.
Well, I know John Woodrow played the drums, and I think Didymus, who was the conga player in the band at the time, wasn't able to make the session, and maybe Big Black might have covered for him, or maybe somebody else did, and maybe Didymus' brother made the session. I don't remember, but I think that Big Black was on that session, but I'm not positive.
Okay, well, I mean, it has, quite a sort of jam-like feel to it. Did you have quite a specific idea of how you wanted it to sound, or did it just sort of develop into what it was?
Well, I was trying to do all of the songs that were floated around, and when you guys were locked down, there was a certain thing in all of that shit that was not like you heard in the streets. I mean, things that became popular later, to this day, I think, are popular in lockdown situations.
Okay, cool. And, the whole voodoo thing, was that something you grew up with as well?
Yeah, I mean, it was always, my sister and I taught me a lot of stuff that it was like a lot of people believed in that, along with New Orleans is a very syncretic society, and people can be good Catholics or good Christians and good Jews and good whatever they may be, Muslims or anything, but they can also do that too.
Yeah.
They can believe in the voodoo, and it was kind of not a lot of people talked about.
So was it something you practiced actively? Because some people have said that, the voodoo thing, they thought it was just a stage act, but I always got the impression with you it was a lot more close to your heart and actually quite something you genuinely believed in. So was it something you practiced as well?
I never have stopped believing in that, but I'm also a very spiritual person, and I believe in syncreticism, the Christian versions of saints. Like right now I'm looking on the refrigerator, and I don't have a candle for Shango up there, but I have St. Barbara with a through it, which is the all, whether it's anywhere where the religions has took that turn from where it started and was introduced to other faiths,
Mm.
Africa to the Caribbean, and then into New Orleans.